11th Will Annual Conference. It's always good to see you all. And the first thing I always say is that I want to compliment all of you for coming, because this meeting is not about me. This meeting is not about us. This meeting is about you. What are we going to do together to put milestones and to put landmarks on the mission for women in leadership together? So this meeting is really about you. And then when we talk about these meetings at the Will Conference, we always say that we have spent 10 years. We have spent 10 years putting forward a vision. What is the vision? The first thing about the vision is that it's not about women. It's about women in leadership. We have to get this equation right, that our conversation is about women in leadership. And what is this women in leadership? It's wealth creation, it's innovation, it's productivity, it's everything that goes with good business. That is the key. The second thing we have to remember about the vision is that these are not meetings on diversity and they're not meetings on inclusivity. Not at all. The Will Forum meetings are equal opportunity meetings. The bedrock of a good democracy is equal opportunity. And when you have equal opportunity, then there is equal opportunity for all talents to shine. That's the Will Forum. Now you can put diversity and you can put inclusion on top of equal opportunity. But if you don't have equal opportunity, we actually don't know what is the conversation about diversity. We also have to remember that we have 500 million women in India today. That's 8% of the world population. How powerful is 8% of the world population goes by the volume of that number. That is not a diverse number. That is called equal majority. We are an equal majority, and that's why we're very clear when we speak. The next thing we want to validate is that we have to always in the vision talk about escalation of the dialogue. This dialogue cannot happen at the bottom of the ladder. It can't happen at the entry level. It has to happen at the top of the line. It has to be a CEO agenda. It has to be driven by the board. It cannot be relegated to an ex-executive and there'll be a parallel conversation going on and the CEO and the board doesn't know what that conversation is. It has to be a conversation which is escalated together with everybody in the company. It's a common conversation. And then we have to remember in the vision that it's very important all the time that we validate what we do. And that is why we say validate and verify. If you say you have equal opportunity, okay, let's validate. If you say you have meritocracy, okay, let's validate. If you're validating just about everything, from compensation to rewards to investment to stakeholder value, why don't you validate equal opportunity for women? And that is why we have the Will benchmarking process, so that we are able to close the gap. If you didn't close the gap, then you didn't close the gap. That's what validation is about. So at the bottom of this conversation, the vision is that you are actually putting your company at risk. I'm an economist, so I understand risk. You're putting the country at risk. You're putting the community at risk. You're putting the planet at risk. Risk is something that needs to be in your calculation of your business, of your well-being, and also of what you call the new age companies, this whole digital revolution. If you don't have the risk element of how if you don't digitize on time. So risk is very important to us, and that's part of our vision. Let us get past the risk threshold. And the final part of the vision is that the men are a very important part of the mission. You cannot do this alone, but we don't want sponsors. We don't want champions. We want equal partners. The men will be equal partners. We don't want anybody sponsoring anybody, because once you have equal opportunity, it's not required. How do we know also that the people who are mentoring and sponsoring are people with the right mindset? We don't know. Therefore, it is best left to remember that the men must be equal partners in a conversation on balanced leadership. I'm going to take